Danny Walsh wiped down the last table in Section 3 and looked at the clock on the wall. Another busy day at Luna's last stop was almost over. The diner sat on the main level of Nexus Prime, the biggest space station in the galaxy. Beings from dozens of different worlds came here to eat, drink, and trade stories. Jake Martinez owned the place. He was a good boss who treated his workers well. Jake had built the diner from nothing 15 years ago. Now it was famous across 3 star systems for its good food and fair prices. The walls were covered with pictures of happy customers from different planets. Some had green skin, others had 4 arms, and a few looked almost human except for their strange eyes or extra fingers. Danny had worked here for 2 years. He was 28 years old with brown hair and tired eyes. He always wore long-sleeve shirts, even when the station's air system made it hot inside the diner. Other workers asked him why, but Danny just smiled and changed the subject. He was good at his job. Customers liked him because he was polite and quick with their orders. The evening rush was starting. Ships from across the galaxy docked at Nexus Prime every few minutes. Travelers came to the diner hungry and thirsty. Danny could speak 5 different languages, which helped when serving aliens who didn't know much English. "Table 6 needs more coffee," called Lisa Chen from behind the counter. She was the day shift manager and had worked at the diner longer than anyone except Jake. Lisa was smart and tough. She could handle any problem that came up. Danny grabbed the coffee pot and walked over to table 6. A family of blue-skinned Centaurians sat there. They had traveled for 3 days to reach the station. Their children were tired and cranky. Danny poured their coffee and brought extra sugar packets without being asked. The parents smiled and thanked him in their own language. "You're welcome," Danny replied in perfect Centaurian. The children giggled when they heard him speak their words. The front door opened with a soft chime. Danny looked up and saw Trouble walking in. 3 tall figures entered the diner. They moved like they owned the place. Their skin was pale purple, and their hair was silver white. They wore expensive clothes that sparkled under the lights. Altarians. Danny had seen their kind before. They thought they were better than everyone else in the galaxy. Most other species feared them or tried to make them happy. Altarians had powerful ships and advanced technology. Their empire controlled dozens of star systems. The leader of the group was a young woman. She was tall and beautiful, with bright violet eyes that looked cold as space. Her silver hair was braided with tiny jewels. She wore a dress that probably cost more than Danny made in a year. 2 male guards followed behind her. They were bigger and had mean looks on their faces. "I am Princess Zara of the Altarian Royal House," the woman announced loudly. Her voice carried across the whole diner. Other customers stopped eating and turned to stare. "I require your best table immediately." Lisa Chen walked over with a friendly smile. She had dealt with difficult customers before. "Welcome to Luna's last stop, Your Highness. I'm Lisa, the manager. We'd be happy to seat you, but our best table is currently occupied. I can offer you this nice booth by the window, or you can wait about 10 minutes for the corner table to open up." Princess Zara's eyes flashed with anger. "You dare ask royalty to wait? Do you not know who I am?" "I do know who you are," Lisa said calmly. "But we serve customers in the order they arrive. It's fair to everyone." One of the guards stepped forward. His hand moved toward the weapon on his belt. The diner got very quiet. Danny could feel the tension in the air like electricity before a storm. Jake Martinez came out from the kitchen. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had seen enough fights in his diner to know when trouble was starting. "Is there a problem here?" "Yes, there is a problem," Princess Zara said. Her voice was sharp as broken glass. "Your staff refuses to show proper respect to Altarian nobility. Perhaps you need to train your people better." Jake looked at Lisa, then at the princess. "Ma'am, we respect all our customers equally. That's how we've done business for 15 years. If you'd like to eat here, we'll find you a good table as soon as one opens up. If not, I understand." Princess Zara's face turned red with anger. No one had ever spoken to her like this before. On her homeworld, people bowed when she walked by. Here, these humans treated her like any other customer. "Fine," she said through gritted teeth. "We will take the booth. But I want your best waiter, to serve us. Lisa looked around the diner. Most of the other waiters were busy with their own tables. Danny can take care of you. He's one of our best. Danny felt his stomach drop. He had hoped to avoid serving the Altarian princess. Her kind always meant trouble. But he walked over anyway. It was his job. "Good evening," he said politely. "My name is Danny. I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with some drinks?" Princess Zara looked him up and down like he was dirt on her shoe. "You're human," she said with disgust. "Yes, ma'am. I don't like being served by inferior species. Get me someone else." Danny felt a flash of anger, but he kept his face calm. He had learned long ago to control his temper. "I'm sorry, but I'm the only waiter available right now. I promise to give you excellent service." "Excellent service from a human?" Princess Zara laughed. It was not a nice sound. "That's impossible. Your kind barely knows how to use tools properly." Other customers were watching now. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed curious to see what would happen. Danny noticed a group of green-skinned traders whispering to each other at a nearby table. "What would you like to drink?" Danny asked. Again. He kept his voice steady and professional. Princess Zara waved her hand dismissively. "Bring us your finest Altarian wine, and make sure it's properly chilled. I suppose even humans can manage that simple task." Danny nodded. "Right away." He turned to walk toward the bar, feeling her cold eyes on his back. This was going to be a long night. Danny brought the wine to Princess Zara's table. He had chosen the most expensive bottle they had in stock. The label was written in Altarian script, which he could read perfectly. He poured a small amount into her glass for tasting, just like he had been trained. Princess Zara sipped the wine and made a face. "This is garbage. Don't you have anything better?" "That's our finest Altarian wine, Your Highness. It's from the Vega Valley vineyards on your homeworld." "I know where it's from, you stupid human, but it's clearly been stored wrong. The temperature is off by 2 degrees. She pushed the glass away. "Bring me something else." Danny knew the wine was perfect. The diner's storage system kept all wines at exactly the right temperature, but arguing with customers was not allowed, especially royal ones. "What would you prefer instead?" "Surprise me, if you can." Her violet eyes sparkled with mean humor. "Though I doubt a primitive human brain can understand what real quality means." Danny went back to the bar. Lisa Chen was watching from across the room. She could see the princess was being difficult. Danny selected another wine, this one even more expensive. When he returned to the table, Princess Zara barely looked at it. "Now I want food," she announced. "What do you recommend?" Danny had memorized the entire menu. He knew which dishes were popular with different species. "The Terran steak is very good. We also have fresh Centaurian sea bass that arrived this morning." "Terran food? You mean human food?" Princess Zara laughed loudly. "I wouldn't feed that slop to my pets. What about real cuisine? Something civilized beings actually eat?" "We have Altarian crystal fruit salad," Danny offered, "and roasted vegan root vegetables with—" "Stop." Princess Zara held up her hand. "Your pronunciation is terrible. It hurts my ears to listen to. You butcher my language." One of her guards snickered. The other customers were trying not to stare, but Danny could feel their eyes on him. He had served difficult people before, but Princess Zara was testing his patience like no one ever had. "Perhaps you could tell me what you'd like," Danny said carefully. "I want you to bring me your chef. A real person, not some human servant." "I'm sorry, but the chef is busy cooking. I can take your order and—" "Did I ask for excuses?" Princess Zara's voice got louder. "I asked for the chef. Are you deaf as well as stupid?" The diner was getting quieter. Conversations stopped at other tables. Even the kitchen seemed less noisy than before. Danny felt heat rising in his face, but he pushed it down. He had learned to control anger a long time ago, in a place far from this peaceful diner. "I'll see if the chef can come out for a moment," Danny said. "You'll do more than see. You'll make it happen. Or do I need to explain how servants are supposed to behave?" Danny walked toward the kitchen. His hands were steady, but his jaw was tight. Behind him, he heard Princess Zara talking to her guards. In Altarian, she thought he couldn't understand her words. "Look at him crawl," she was saying. "Humans are such pathetic creatures. No wonder they make good servants. They don't have the spine to fight back." Danny stopped walking. He turned around slowly. Princess Zara was smiling at him like a cat that had caught a mouse. "Is there a problem?" she asked sweetly. "No problem," Danny replied in perfect Altarian. "I was just wondering if you had anything else to say about my species." Princess Zara's smile disappeared. She hadn't expected him to understand her language. Her face turned red with embarrassment and anger. "How dare you eavesdrop on a private conversation? You were speaking loudly in a public place," Danny said. He switched back to English. "I'll get the chef for you." But Princess Zara was beyond caring about food now. She had been embarrassed in front of her guards and other customers. Her pride was hurt, and she wanted revenge. "No," she said, standing up. She was tall, almost 6.5 feet. Her guards stood up too, making the situation feel dangerous. "I've had enough of your attitude, human. You need to learn your place." "I'm just trying to do my job," Danny said quietly. "Your job is to serve your betters without question. But you seem to think you're equal to real people." Princess Zara stepped closer. She was using her height to try to intimidate him. "Maybe a public lesson will help you remember what you really are." Other customers were staring openly now. Some looked scared. Others seemed curious to see what would happen. Danny noticed a family with small children getting up to leave. He didn't want innocent people to get hurt if this situation got worse. "Please, sit down, Your Highness. I'll get whatever you need." "Oh, I'll sit down, but first you're going to apologize properly. On your knees." The diner was completely silent now. Even the kitchen had stopped making noise. Jake Martinez was walking over from behind the counter, but Princess Zara was moving faster. "Kneel," she commanded. "And maybe I won't report this establishment to the Galactic Trade Commission for allowing their workers to insult royalty." Danny looked around the diner. He saw Lisa Chen's worried face. He saw Jake trying to reach them. He saw dozens of alien customers watching to see if the human would break. "I'm not going to kneel," Danny said calmly. Princess Zara's eyes flashed with rage. "Then I'll put you there myself." She reached out with both hands and grabbed the front of Danny's shirt. Altarians were strong, much stronger than humans. She planned to tear his shirt and push him to the ground in front of everyone. It would be the perfect humiliation. The fabric ripped easily in her powerful grip. Danny's shirt came apart and fell away from his chest and arms. Princess Zara had expected to see pale human skin, maybe some embarrassing scars or tattoos. What she saw instead made her step backward in shock. Danny's chest, arms, and shoulders were covered in markings. But these weren't random scars or decorations. They were precise, deliberate patterns that covered almost every inch of his exposed skin. Each mark was different, but they all had the same careful, ceremonial look. Princess Zara stared at the markings. Her face went from angry red to pale white. Her hands started to shake. She knew what those markings meant. Every educated being in the galaxy knew what they meant. The diner stayed completely silent. But now it wasn't because people were scared or curious. It was because they were seeing something they had never expected to see. Something that changed everything they thought they knew about the quiet human waiter named Danny Walsh. The silence in Luna's last stop stretched like a held breath. Princess Zara stared at Danny's exposed chest and arms, her violet eyes wide with recognition and growing horror. The intricate patterns of scars weren't random. They told a story that every educated being in the galaxy would know. Lisa Chen was the first to speak. She had moved closer during the confrontation, and now she stood just a few feet away. Her face had gone pale as she looked at the markings covering Danny's skin. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Danny, those are—" She couldn't finish the sentence. A blue-skinned Centaurian at table 6 stood up slowly. He was an older male with gray hair and kind eyes. His voice carried clearly across the silent diner. "Voidwalker scars," he said with deep respect. "I haven't seen them in person for 5 years," The words hit the room like a bomb. Customers who had been sitting quietly suddenly leaned forward to get a better look. Some stood up. Others pulled out their communication devices to record what they were seeing. Princess Zara took another step backward. Her hands were shaking, badly now. "No," she said quietly. "That's not possible. You're just a waiter. You're just a human." Danny stood very still. He had spent 2 years hiding these scars, keeping his past secret. Now everyone could see them. There was no going back. An 8-armed Krellian traitor pushed through the crowd that was forming. He was old enough to remember the war. His orange eyes studied the patterns on Danny's skin with the careful attention of someone who knew their meaning. "The scar on his left shoulder," the Krellian said in accented English. "That's from the Battle of Titan's Gate. See how it curves? That pattern means he led a boarding action against an enemy capital ship. And this one on his chest," added a green-skinned Vegan female. She pointed but didn't touch. "That's for saving civilian transports. The 3 parallel lines mean he saved more than 1,000 lives in a single engagement." More customers crowded around, but they kept a respectful distance. These weren't just scars to them. They were reading a living history book, written in flesh and pain. Danny closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, he looked different. The tired waiter was gone. In his place stood someone else entirely, someone who had seen things that most beings couldn't imagine. "Princess Zara," he said quietly. His voice had changed too. It was still calm, but now it carried weight, authority. "You should sit down." But Princess Zara couldn't sit. She couldn't move at all. She was staring at a specific scar on Danny's right arm. It was shaped like a twisted star, and it was the most famous marking a being could earn during the Void War. "The Kepler's Gate star," she breathed. "You were there. You were actually there." Lisa Chen had tears in her eyes. She had covered the war as a young reporter before she came to work at the diner. She knew the stories better than most. "Ladies and gentlemen," she announced to the crowd, "this is Lieutenant Commander Daniel Walsh of the Terran Marine Corps. He's one of only 12 humans who survived the Battle of Kepler's Gate." The reaction was immediate. Several alien customers dropped to one knee. Others pressed their hands to their hearts in traditional salutes. A few began speaking prayers in their own languages. Princess Zara felt her knees go weak. Kepler's Gate was legend. It was the battle that saved the galaxy from the greatest invasion force ever assembled. For 3 days, a small human fleet had held a strategic jump point against overwhelming odds. They had fought with inferior ships and weapons, but they had refused to retreat. The cost had been terrible. Almost every human ship was destroyed. Thousands of the galaxy's finest warriors had died, but they had held the line long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Their sacrifice had turned the tide of the war. "The Void Walkers were an elite unit," Lisa continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the diner. "They specialized in the most dangerous missions, boarding enemy ships, rescuing prisoners, leading desperate attacks against impossible odds." Danny's scars told the story of every mission. The careful patterns weren't decorations or punishments. They were honors, earned through blood and sacrifice. Each mark represented a choice to risk everything for others. A young Altarian male in expensive clothes pushed through the crowd. He looked like he might be related to Princess Zara. His face was full of awe and disbelief. "The siege of New Altaria," he said, pointing to a complex pattern near Danny's shoulder blade. "Were you there too?" Danny nodded once. "My grandfather was trapped in the capital city when the enemy surrounded it. He used to tell me stories about the human soldiers who broke through the lines to evacuate civilians. He said they fought like demons. He said they saved his life." Princess Zara felt the world spinning around her. New Altaria was her home world. Her own family had been saved by human soldiers during the war. She had grown up hearing stories about their bravery. But she had never connected those stories to the humans she met in everyday life. "How many did you save?" asked the Centaurian grandfather from Table 6. "I didn't keep count," Danny said simply. "The records did," Lisa said. She was pulling up information on her personal device. Lieutenant Commander Walsh participated in 47 major engagements during the war. His unit rescued over 50,000 civilians and prisoners. They destroyed or captured 18 enemy capital ships. The crowd was growing larger. Word was spreading through the station's communication networks. People were coming from other parts of Nexus Prime to see the legendary Voidwalker with their own eyes. But Danny looked tired. The attention was obviously difficult for him. He had come to this quiet diner to escape his past, not to relive it in front of strangers. "That's enough," he said quietly. But his voice still carried that unmistakable authority. The crowd immediately began to back away. Princess Zara was still standing there, still staring at the scars. She was thinking about every cruel word she had said, every insult about humans being inferior, every demand that he serve her because she was royalty and he was nothing. She had just humiliated one of the galaxy's greatest heroes. She had called him stupid and primitive. She had tried to force him to kneel before her, the man whose scars proved he had risked everything to save people like her. "I didn't know," she whispered. Danny picked up his torn shirt from the floor. It was ruined, but he held it against his chest anyway. "Most people don't," he said. "That's how I like it." "But why?" Princess Zara asked. Her voice was small and confused. "Why hide what you are? You could have anything you wanted, any job, any position. The whole galaxy owes you a debt." Danny looked at her for a long moment. His eyes were old and sad, older than his 28 years. "Because I'm tired," he said simply. "I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of being a symbol. I just wanted to serve coffee and make people happy." He turned toward the back of the diner, looking for somewhere to go. But the crowd wasn't going to let him disappear that easily. They had questions. They wanted to hear his stories. They wanted to thank him. Princess Zara watched him walk away, and for the first time in her life, she truly understood what it meant to feel ashamed. Danny sat in the small office behind the kitchen, wearing a spare shirt that Jake had found for him. Through the thin walls, he could hear the crowd outside still talking in excited voices. Some were telling their own stories about the war. Others were asking Lisa questions about human military traditions. Jake Martinez sat across from him, holding 2 cups of coffee. The older man's face was thoughtful, but not surprised. He had always suspected there was more to Danny than met the eye. "How long have you known?" Danny asked. "I didn't know for sure until tonight," Jake replied, "but I had my guesses. You move like a soldier. You speak too many languages for a regular guy. And you always scan the room when you enter like you're checking for threats." Danny managed a small smile. "Old habits. The scars too. I've seen military markings before, though never ones like yours." Jake sipped his coffee. Must have been hard keeping it secret for so long. It was easier than the alternative. Danny stared at his own cup. "Do you know what happened after the war ended? They wanted to make me a hero. Parades, speeches, recruitment posters. They wanted me to travel around the galaxy telling my story, to inspire people. But you didn't want that. I couldn't do it anymore. Every time I looked in a mirror, I saw the faces of the people who didn't make it home. My unit started with 200 Marines. Only 12 of us survived Kepler's Gate." Through the wall, they could hear Princess Zara's voice. She was still in the main dining room, but now she sounded different, humbled. She was asking Lisa about human military traditions and the meaning of different scar patterns. "She's not what I expected," Jake observed. Neither was I, apparently. Danny touched his chest where the shirt covered his scars. "I thought I could just be normal, work a regular job, serve regular people, maybe forget about the war for a while." "And did you forget about it?" Danny was quiet for a long moment. "No. I dream about it every night. I see the ships burning in space. I hear my friends screaming over the radio when their boarding pods were destroyed. Sometimes I wake up thinking I'm still there, still fighting." Jake nodded slowly. He had known other veterans over the years. The war had ended 5 years ago, But for many who fought in it, the battle never really stopped. The scars help, Danny continued. Each one reminds me of something good we did, someone we saved, a ship we captured. It's not just about the fighting. It's about why we fought. And why did you fight? Danny looked up from his coffee. Because someone had to. The enemy was going to enslave half the galaxy. They were going to destroy entire civilizations. We were the only ones standing in their way. The door opened quietly. Lisa Chen peeked in, looking concerned. Danny, there's someone here who wants to meet you, if you're up for it. Media? Danny asked, his face tightening. No, nothing like that. It's Admiral Chen Zhao of the Centaurian Defense Force. He says he served with your unit at the Battle of Vega Prime. Danny's eyes widened. Chen Zhao is here? He was having dinner with his family when he heard the commotion. He's been waiting, very patiently, to speak with you. Danny stood up slowly. Admiral Chen Zhao was a legend in his own right. The old Centaurian had commanded the relief fleet that finally arrived at Kepler's Gate. Without his tactical brilliance, even the Void Walker's sacrifice might not have been enough. Send him back, Danny said. A minute later, a tall, blue-skinned Centaurian entered the office. He was older now, with gray hair and wrinkled skin, but his yellow eyes were still sharp. He wore simple civilian clothes, but he carried himself like the military commander he had once been. Lieutenant Commander Walsh, the Admiral said formally. Then his face broke into a warm smile. Or should I say, Danny the waiter? Admiral. Danny stood and saluted out of habit. It's good to see you again, sir. Please sit. We're both civilians. Now. The Admiral took the chair that Jake offered. Though I hear you've been keeping yourself busy serving coffee instead of commanding boarding parties. It's quieter work, Admiral Chen Zhao laughed. I imagine it is, though apparently not as quiet as you hoped. They talked for nearly an hour. The Admiral shared news of other surviving Voidwalkers. Some had returned to military service. Others had become teachers or engineers or farmers. All of them were trying to find their place in a galaxy at peace. The war changed everything, the Admiral said. Before Kepler's Gate, most species saw humans as newcomers, primitive, barely worth noticing. But after everyone understood what your people were truly capable of. We just did our job, Danny said. No, you did far more than that. The Admiral's voice became serious. You proved that technology and superior firepower aren't everything. You showed the galaxy that courage and determination can overcome any odds. That's a lesson some species needed to learn. Through the wall, they could still hear conversation in the main dining room. But it sounded different now, more respectful, more thoughtful. That young Altarian princess has been asking very intelligent questions, the Admiral noted. She seems genuinely interested in learning about human military culture. She's the one who tore my shirt off, Danny said dryly. Yes, I heard. An unfortunate way to discover someone's identity. The Admiral smiled. But perhaps a necessary one. You can't hide forever, my friend. I'm not hiding, I'm just trying to live a normal life. But you're not normal, Danny. None of us who survived the war are normal. We carry the memories of everyone who didn't make it home. We have a responsibility to them. Danny felt the old weight settling on his shoulders again, the weight of expectations and sacrifice and loss. What do you want me to do? Go back to giving speeches? Tell war stories to politicians who never held a weapon? I want you to do whatever makes you happy, the Admiral said gently. But I also want you to remember that your scars mean something. They tell a story that the galaxy needs to hear. Not the sanitized version they show in schools, but the real story. The one about ordinary people doing extraordinary things when they have no other choice. Outside, the crowd was finally beginning to thin. Some customers had left to spread the news across the station. Others remained, hoping for another glimpse of the famous Voidwalker. The princess is still here, Lisa reported when she checked on them again. She's been sitting at her table for 2 hours just thinking. Her guards keep asking if she wants to leave, but she won't go. Danny sighed. I should talk to her. You don't owe her anything, Jake said firmly. Maybe not. But she owes the truth. To her people. And maybe I owe it to mine too. Danny stood up and straightened his borrowed shirt. For 2 years he had been just a waiter. But tonight, whether he wanted it or not, he was Lieutenant Commander Daniel Walsh again. The question was, what was he going to do about it? Danny walked back into the main dining room. Most of the crowd had left, but Princess Zara still sat at her booth. Her guard stood nearby, looking uncomfortable. They had been ready to leave hours ago, but their princess seemed lost in thought. She looked up when Danny approached. Her violet eyes were red as if she had been crying. I've been reading about the war, she said quietly. About what really happened at Kepler's Gate. About your unit. Danny slid into the seat across from her. What did you learn? That I'm an idiot. Her voice was small and ashamed. I spent my whole life thinking humans were inferior. My teachers told me your species was primitive. My parents said you were only good for manual labor. A lot of people think that. But it's not true, is it? During the war, when the enemy was attacking my home world, it was human soldiers who saved us. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the brave warriors who fought in the streets of our capital. She called them the demon fighters because they seemed to appear from nowhere and fight like they had nothing to lose. Danny nodded slowly. New Alteria was a hard fight. Your people defended their home bravely, but we couldn't hold the city alone. The enemy had too many ships, too many soldiers. We would have fallen if the humans hadn't come. Princess Zara looked down at her hands. My grandmother died 2 years ago. She always wanted to thank the soldiers who saved her family. She never got the chance. She didn't need to thank anyone. We were fighting for everyone. But why? Why would humans risk everything for people who looked down on them? For people like me? Danny was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Because it was the right thing to do. And because we knew that if we didn't stop the enemy there, they would keep going. They would destroy world after world until nothing was left. Princess Zara wiped her eyes. I treated you terribly tonight. I called you inferior. I tried to humiliate you in front of everyone. I grabbed your shirt and you didn't know who I was. But I should have treated you with respect anyway. You were just trying to do your job and I was cruel to you because of your species. She took a shaky breath. How many people have I hurt over the years? How many humans have I insulted because I thought I was better than them? Danny could see the genuine pain in her eyes. This wasn't just embarrassment. It was the realization that everything she had believed about the world was wrong. What matters is what you do now, he said. I don't know what to do. How do I fix this? How do I make up for a lifetime of prejudice? Before Danny could answer, Lisa Chen approached their table. She was carrying a tablet and looked excited. Danny, you need to see this. The story has gone viral across the galactic networks. Videos of your scars are being shared on every major planet. Danny felt his stomach drop. How bad is it? Actually, it's good. Really good. People are sharing their own stories about human soldiers who helped them during the war. Politicians are calling for better treatment of human veterans. There's a movement starting to properly honor the sacrifices your people made. She showed them the tablet screen. News feeds from dozens of worlds were covering the story. The headlines ranged from hidden hero working as waiter to princess learns respect the hard way. Oh no, Princess Zara said, reading one of the articles. They're calling me the arrogant princess. This is going to follow me forever. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Danny said. Maybe people need to see that even royalty can learn from their mistakes. Lisa scrolled through more news feeds. There's something else. The Galactic Veterans Council wants to offer you a position as their spokesperson. They're saying it's time for human contributions to the war to be properly recognized. Danny shook his head. I told you I don't want to be a symbol. But you already are one, Princess Zara said suddenly. Don't you see? Your story isn't just about you anymore. It's about changing how people think about humans, about showing the galaxy that strength isn't just about technology or genetics. She's right, Lisa added. Look at these comments from people who saw the videos. A Centaurian veteran is organizing a memorial service for human soldiers. A vegan colony is renaming their main spaceport after the Voidwalkers. Children on a dozen worlds are asking their teachers to tell them more about human history. Danny read the comments on the tablet. Many were from aliens who had never given humans much thought before. Others were from human veterans who felt inspired to share their own stories. All of them were talking about respect and understanding. "I need to make a statement," Princess Zara said suddenly. "A public apology, not just to you but to all humans. I need to use my position to promote better relations between our species." "You don't have to do that," Danny said. "Yes, I do. I have influence in the Altarian Empire. People listen to me, for better or worse. If I can change even a few minds, it's worth it." Jake Martinez had been listening from behind the counter. Now he walked over with a smile on his face. "Danny, I've been thinking, this place is getting famous whether we like it or not. Maybe we should embrace it, turn the diner into a place where different species can come together and learn about each other." "What do you mean?" "Cultural exchange dinners, events where people can share their stories and traditions, maybe even set up a small museum about the war and the soldiers who fought in it." Jake's eyes were bright with possibility. "We could call it the last stop for understanding." Princess Zara sat up straighter. "I could help with that. My family has connections throughout the galaxy. We could bring speakers and artifacts from different worlds." Danny looked around the diner. It had been his refuge for 2 years, a place where he could hide from his past. But maybe hiding wasn't the answer anymore. Maybe it was time to turn his pain into something positive. "What about the other veterans?" he asked. "The ones who are still struggling with what they went through?" "We help them too," Lisa said immediately. "Create support groups, job training programs. Show the galaxy that taking care of veterans is everyone's responsibility, not just the military's." Over the next hour, they planned and discussed and dreamed. Princess Zara called her family's public relations team to draft an apology statement. Jake started sketching ideas for renovating the diner. Lisa reached out to her contacts in the media to arrange interviews. Danny found himself thinking about his fallen comrades. The 12 survivors of Kepler's Gate had scattered across the galaxy, each dealing with their trauma in their own way, but maybe they didn't have to face it alone. "I want to contact the other Voidwalkers," he said. "Invite them here. Let them know they have a place where people understand what they've been through." "That's a wonderful idea," Princess Zara said. "And I want to learn their stories too, all of them. I want to understand what they sacrificed and why." As the night grew late, customers slowly filtered back into the diner. But now they came with respect instead of curiosity. They ordered their food quietly and left generous tips. Some asked politely for autographs. Others simply nodded their acknowledgement and let Danny work in peace. Admiral Chen Zhao stopped by their table before leaving with his family. "I'm proud of you, Lieutenant Commander," he said to Danny. "You found a way to serve that honors, both your past and your future." When the diner finally closed, Danny stood in the kitchen helping Jake clean up. He was wearing short sleeves now, his scars visible in the bright lights. For the first time in 2 years, he wasn't trying to hide who he was. "Are you sure about this?" Jake asked. "Once we start this project, there's no going back to being anonymous." Danny thought about Princess Zara, who was already working on her apology speech. He thought about the veterans who might find hope in their story. He thought about children across the galaxy who were learning for the first time that heroes came in all shapes and sizes. "I'm sure," he said. "It's time to stop hiding. It's time to help people understand what we fought for and why it mattered." Outside, Princess Zara sat in her transport, dictating her statement to the galactic media. She had asked her guards to remove all royal decorations from their uniforms. From now on, she wanted to be known for her actions, not her title. "To all humans who have served in our galaxy's defense," she began, "and especially to those who showed mercy to a foolish princess who didn't deserve it, I offer my deepest apologies and my eternal gratitude. Today I learned that true nobility comes not from birth but from the courage to do what is right when everything is at stake." The statement would be broadcast across the galaxy within hours. It would start conversations in royal courts and refugee camps, in military academies and elementary schools. It would be the beginning of a new understanding between species that had too long seen each other as strangers. Back in the diner, Danny Walsh, former lieutenant commander of the Terran Marine Corps, current waiter and future ambassador for understanding, locked the front door and turned off the lights. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities. But tonight, for the first time in 5 years, he felt like he was exactly where he belonged.